I think just it's about knowing your priorities, knowing what needs to get done, and sometimes when we're running, right? Sometimes you feel that okay, you can't spend too much time. It's okay to take a step back, and it's a good. If you save more time by cutting 1 mile, then yeah, because sometimes it may be good in the long run because sometimes you commit yourself to running a certain distance and you feel the need to run a certain distance. You don't want that extra pressure, or you could get an extra or get more risk of injury.
You are listening to the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast with your host, Eric Logan. No Gimmicks, Just Sweat is dedicated to hearing the journeys and unique stories behind an athlete's training and what drives them. Get inspired to own your life and make the impossible possible. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please take a few seconds to rate the show and drop me a review. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello and welcome to this episode of No Gimmicks, Just Sweat. And today we welcome Mr. Garrick Chan to the show. Garrick, how are you doing?
Hi, Eric. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, thank you for being a guest on the show.
Yeah.
All right. So as with every episode, we kind of start with a little icebreaker question. That's a way for the listeners to kind of get to know you, as well as for me, someone who, I followed you and kind of seen who you are online. That's for me to learn something else new about you as well. All right. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Morning runs or evening runs?
Whew. Yeah, that's a tricky one because I actually prefer both. It all depends on time constraints. I think the morning is a lot better because it gets everything done, but evening runs is better because your body's already awake.
Yes. Okay. I'm a morning guy. I'm the type of person that I can't get started until I have my run in the morning. All right. Solo runs or group runs?
Most of the times though, I would run solo, but running in a group, especially during workouts, it's the way to go.
Okay. Run on the treadmill or run outside?
I prefer outside than treadmill.
Okay. All right. Trail runs or road runs?
I like the roads, but I go trail if I really need to, just to prevent injuries.
Okay. All right. Favorite race distance to run?
I think for me, I would say it's the half marathon.
Okay. Cool. All right. First thing you do after a race?
After a race, probably I think walk around, get some goodies.
Okay. You don't have a go-to food after a race?
After a race, go to. Yeah, that's a good question. I think it all varies on what's nearby, and then it could be anything.
Just any type of food.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. What's your dream race to run? And it could be anywhere in the world.
I think we're Olympic trials. It's not going to be this 2024.
Okay. All right. If you can go on a run with a celebrity or athlete, and that person can be either dead or alive, who would it be?
Man, that's a hard one because
that's the one that usually stumps everyone.
Yeah, that's a hard one because yeah, I think there'll be some they're all current professional athletes or professional athletes in the past that I've met and I looked up to. Yeah, so it's very so that one's a very I think that's a hard one for me to answer. I think I'll just say any any professional athlete who can run, who can still run.
Okay. All right, last one. dream location anywhere in the world you want to go for a run. Not for a race, but just to run and experience the scenery.
I think it's probably like the places that are like, you know, high altitude. I mean, I've run like for like a few days in like Denver, but I've never tried the famous ones like Boulder, Flagstaff, or I forgot the one in Switzerland where like all the professionals go to.
Ah, okay. Nice. All right. So, as with every episode, this is your time to kind of talk about, who you are, as well as, how did you become the runner that you are now? I always kind of, frame it as, think of this as your origin story. Think about it. We love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We love seeing how, this ordinary person became the superhero that we are. So let's hear your story.
Yeah, I love the MCU. Okay, so I started running when I was in 5th grade. My fifth grade teacher, she made the class run like 8 laps around the school like playground like loop, and it's like it's just a mix of like asphalt, grass, baseball field, and such, downhill, uphill, small ones. But yeah, and then she would motivate us by like giving us like candy if you don't walk. You can't take a walk.
So you got candy to run.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that made me decide to join cross country in middle school, and then I didn't think that from that point on I'll become captain of my high school cross country team.
Oh, okay.
And then I will go on to like run in college for San Jose State University, and then like at San Jose State, right? I was more like a 1,500 meter runner, and then I didn't think that like after after college I'm still running and become more of a long distance runner, and the race that made me get me more fire than ever is 2019 Chicago Marathon. I go out and run 2:34 debut, and then at the same time I ran a negative split in my debut marathon. So past 3 years, every superhero has their down moments. So I think right now this is like I'm currently in my down moment where like I've been suffering from like hip injury, and I get like compensation like injuries, like to that point where like when I got like last March I was in the boot for like 6 to 8 weeks with a fourth metatarsal stress fracture.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then like and then things just got like worse from there. So like last year was just was a really bad year. Now the good news is, I think like right as the year ended, I was able to add more miles. But I just started the new year with COVID, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm just recovering back, but my hip, but my hip is opening up. My right hip's opening up, and from based on with the people that I'm working with right now, we're all starting to come into agreement that like this what I'm going through right now could be more like a posture and like thoracic spine issue, because I work like full time as a accountant, and and I think like because when you live in a sedentary lifestyle and try to put like 80 miles per week, that's not a good combination.
Right. So before you the injuries and you've had to kind of change up, and we'll kind of talk about that in a moment.
Okay.
What did, let me kind of word it correctly, what did a week of training and preparing for races look like for you?
Yeah. So usually, right, before I got injured, and my schedule is like, yeah, most of the time I'll do my runs in the morning, and I would do like each week, right? It'd be like 2 workouts.
Okay.
I think it was on a Tuesday and then on a Friday, and there'll be one semi long run, like I think it was like probably like on a Wednesday, and then the rest of the days are like easy runs with Sunday a long run, and then there'll be like 2 days of like strength and conditioning.
Okay. So now that you're dealing with injuries and stuff now, what has changed with your training? How are you have you had to do major adjustments with it, or are you just slowly getting back to what you used to be?
Yeah, it's both, and if there's an analogy to this, it's just like Tony Stark and his arc reactor, because his first arc reactor,
Mm-hmm.
it like it helped him, right? It benefited
Right.
him, but at the same time, it was not permanent. Like not going to help him in the long run. It will help him for like a short period of time. And the things that I was doing right prior to the injury, yeah, it helped me, but at the same time, it's not going to help me in like in the long run, because I have like a full-time job.
Right.
So right now, right, I'm in the middle of trying to find find a routine that will help me combine like Silicon Valley and and running. So I think I'm almost there with that. Like I'm actually I'm working with someone, and he's having me do a warm up before I run, and then he will give me a routine to do to like follow, like before, like as before I do like races or workout, and like a night routine where like I'll do some exercises before I go to bed and wake up in the next morning.
Okay. So to kind of add on to that question, are you self-coach, or have you always had someone to kind of coach and train you?
Yeah. So okay. So starting from 2017 to end of last year, I was coached remotely while I was representing a running club called Wolfpack, and it's very normal to have like a all remote like another coach while representing for a club. Um, some clubs don't allow that, so just recently I joined a club called Strawberry Canyon. It's located in Berkeley, and so far I think things are going well there.
Okay. Good. Good. So let's kind of talk about how you fuel and eat for your training and running. What's your general fuel process as far as preparing for races and your general training?
Yeah, so like when I usually like when I do workouts or easy runs, I'll my go-to is honey stingers, either the waffle or the gel.
Oh yeah, I love the waffles.
Yeah, and then always drink water, and sometimes some electrolytes. I think like electrolytes are like Gatorade, also like Pocari Sweat. I think those are important. It's kind of important to have those, like especially like when you do workouts and like long runs, because those are like give you a lot of energy. I also do eat a banana, especially and that's something that I need on like race day, because or even workouts, because it has potassium.
Right.
So that's my fuel before I go run, and then like when I do my long runs, or like long tempo or semi long runs, I try to get like some gel in. My go to gel now is Martine.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So did you have a trial and error period and trying to find those things that work for you? Because I know some people, like even myself, I've had to kind of, try things out, see what works and stuff like that.
Yeah, I heard that that there are some people have the trial and error. Like from my mom, right? She runs too, and the one day, right? She ran the SF marathon, and she took a gel from the SF marathon course people, and after she took it, right, she didn't have a good race because you're because the the thing is like you're not supposed to try something new on race day.
Right.
Yeah, you're supposed to get used to the fuel that works for you. So I never had a trial and error, but I think when I ran Chicago, or any half marathons like prior to Chicago, I think I used the SIS. That's because Wolfpack, they were sponsored by SIS.
Okay.
But I heard like Martine, it's worth it, even though it's a little expensive. So I used that, and I used that when I ran Indy half marathon. So and it's pretty good.
Okay. So let's kind of step back for a moment because I know you mentioned that, you were part of some running clubs. So can you kind of explain what that experience is for some people who might not know? Like for me, I'm a member of the Atlanta Track Club, but I'm just a member. I don't really, in the sense of, quote unquote, run for them, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I heard Atlanta Track Club. Actually, there was someone at Strawberry Canyon who's from the Atlanta Track Club.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
yeah. Um. So, originally, right, I joined Wolfpack, because I have friends who joined.
Hmm.
So, joining a running club, I think like it all depends on like the leadership of the club. It depends on how the club president leads, the club. So, but I think like it's running clubs. They're good to like make friends,
Hmm.
and it helps to get like workouts done.
Okay. And so is that something you kind of recommend to people like who are just starting out running, just trying to, like you said, make friends, and learn more about running?
Yeah, I would recommend. Yeah, yeah, that's something that I would recommend. But make sure you have to find the right club.
Okay. Okay. And I've noticed you said that the club that you're in now is that strawberry, what is it again? I can't
Uh,
remember.
Strawberry Canyon.
And is that local to you or is that somewhere distance?
Um, I mean, it is a little bit of a distance because
Okay.
I'm coming from like, San Carlos, which is in the peninsula area between San Francisco and San Jose, and I'm driving to Berkeley in the East Bay.
Okay. Okay. So you're driving a distance to, participate in that club.
Yeah, because the club has a great success recently, and I think it's and the reason why I joined because I know the coach while I was in like Wolfpack. I mean, there was no poaching or anything, but I made the decisions on my own. So yeah, so I joined because like I know him and he's a good coach. So
Okay.
I want to get the best out of myself from
Okay.
him.
Okay. All right. So how do you one of the things you mentioned that you're an accountant, so you have a job, and one of the things with running and as well as being an athlete, and we're not necessarily talking about like pro athletes that are got the huge gigantic sponsorships and the shoe deals and all that stuff, but just an everyday you know you know athlete. How do you find balance with working, just life in general, as well as being the best runner you can be?
Well, I think for me, right, what I had to balance is running, work, and currently my relationship with my girlfriend. She and I've been going out since like I would say like at least a year and a half. So I learned time management from my days as a San Jose State student athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just like know your priorities. Oh yeah, also add that like yeah, I'm also currently balancing a online MBA at Santa Clara University. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, that adds even more.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like the 4 things I'm 4 things I'm currently working with, and yeah, I think just it's about knowing your priorities, knowing like what needs to get done, and like sometimes when we're running, right? Sometimes like you feel that like okay, you can't spend too much time. It's okay to take a step back, and like if you save more time by cutting 1 mile, then yeah, because like sometimes it may be good in the long run because sometimes you commit yourself to like running a certain distance and you feel the need to run a certain distance. You don't want that extra pressure, or you could get like an extra or get more risk of injury.
Okay. So what or who is your inspiration? What are some things that keep you going daily?
Well, okay, so my inspiration, right? I think like for me, right, what keeps me going is, how I ran you know, that debut marathon. And, I think like, cause I think like, 2:34 for a debut is, that's pretty, not many people can do that. And, I think like, I think the question is how far I can go, you know, it's, so I think, and, and I think another thing that inspires me is that like, there there's some there I know there not been much like Asian like role models, but obviously there are like stereotypes out there, and I think what keeps me going is like yeah I want to like go out and like prove inspire the Asian community, and change the world. So I think like yeah, if I accomplish like OTQ and eventually get into like elite races, which is I'm like steps away from making it happen, then I think that will help change community.
Okay. Yeah, and that's good, and that you're trying to be that inspiration is an inspiration. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, yeah.
So this next question is kind of a two-part question for you.
Okay.
Um, the first part is, what's your proudest moment as a runner? And then the second part, what has been your worst moment or the biggest mistake you've made as a runner?
Whew. Okay, so my proudest moment, right? That's gonna be like the whole 2019 year. You know when like I ran like Chicago Marathon. So I would say that's my proudest moment because I started off as like a 1500-meter runner, tried to continue at 1500-meter days like after college, but there was no success in that. So that's why I got moved up to my long distance. And then I think like from March, right, I think like to like end of the year in 2019, that's when like I pretty much had like a breakthrough year as a long distance runner. And that's when like I improved my 5K time, my 10K time, my half marathon time, and then like my full and then ran my full marathon time. And like it was and that year was my proudest, and because it was like there was so much promise before I got injured, which leads to the next question. Like yeah, like those that's like probably my worst moment to this day. because yeah, I mean, because like okay, like not only when I got hurt, right? I'm trying to like find help, get all the solutions, but and there's some I worked with like I felt like I should not have worked with them in the first place. And the reason why, like, the whole thing's been hard because, like, the PTs,
Mm-hmm.
there were some PTs that I met, and, I think because of the pandemic, if there was no pandemic, some of these PTs, right, they would be like, okay, we'll try to get you done. We'll be honest with you. And, like, and you look on their websites, their Yelp reviews, they seem credible. But there's some, like, PTs out there, like, that they kind of weren't in it to like help me. I felt like they had like some own agenda.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think what I could have done better is like, cause like I always feel that like I got to like complete a few sessions because sometimes like, it takes time.
Right.
But I think like what I should have done better is like if I know that like okay it's not going to work, just don't wait. Just leave immediately.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, finding a good PT can be a task in of itself.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because you have to find someone that connects with you as well as has a little bit empathy and compassion toward what your goal is. You're trying to achieve.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So right now, right? I think like, well, I haven't. Well, I decided like well, my PT situation right now, it's like yeah, it's a little complicated, but like, cause like I found like I think I might have found the solution to the
Okay.
issue,
Okay.
but it's not coming from like people who not coming from physical therapists. It's coming from one's coming from this method called EGOSCU.
Hmm.
Uh, if you guys don't know what that is, if you heard of that the Pain Academy, that's what it's based on. Uh, and the second one is a running performance like coach.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, yeah, I've never heard of that Pain Academy. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, yeah, because like reason why like I'm using like Egoscue because like my body after the stress fracture it's been out of like alignment, so I got like my belly button out of place,
Oh,
shoulders are
wow.
like non like uneven, and then like a hip is like one hip is like locked,
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah.
Oh, so that's kind of like where things were like what, like one leg might be longer than the other type deal, or is that something totally different?
Um, I mean, my legs are not like one's not like they're not like I do have functional leg length discrepancy,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it could have might help that. But yeah, like I think the hip thing like that's been there for like like 3 years, but all the other stuff it was like it just came after like the stress fracture.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. This question I always ask runners. What's your go-to running shoe?
I think like so I always usually run on Nikes.
Okay.
Like currently running like Pegasus. Um, Obviously for workouts, I go like in Vaporflies, Alpha Flies.
Okay. So 5 to 10 years from now, where do you see yourself as a runner?
Well, obviously, I see myself being out of this injury. Yeah, and then like hopefully my PRs. I'll be running faster PRs. Hopefully, I get like an OTQ 1 or 2 times. I think the good thing about this like injury that I'm having is that like I think it might allow me to run fast in my like late 30s or early 40s. That's the only positive I can see from this. I think like it's kind of like the Kara Diamato like situation where like she couldn't like run
Right.
that around that time where most people's primes happen, but then when she ran again, her best running is happening like in her, late like 30s or
Yes.
early 40s.
Yes. Yes. All right. So if you can go back into a time machine and tell your younger self something, based upon what you know now, what would you go back and tell your younger self?
I think like, I think I would have to go to like high school, right? Go to my high school self, because when I was in high school, right, my cross country program, right, had like a lot of like dysfunction, and I would go there back and tell them, okay, what needs to be done and to work around the dysfunction. And I think like for most people, right, you know, I think like what's key to like running successfully in like high school is you got to put the mileage in. You got to put the tempo runs in. So I think that will I think that's what I would like tell my younger self. And then yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's a non-running fact about you that most people don't know?
Well, let's see. I think like, I've been interviewed on podcasts in the past, for this.
Mm-hmm.
Um so, when I mentioned, earlier about like being inspiration, try to change like, you know, change the Asian community, try and change the world. So, I do have one Instagram advocacy page for like, Asian athletes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's it's in the bio link. It's called Asian Athlete Spotlight.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what's next for you? So, obviously you're dealing with some injuries and stuff, but do you have anything that you're looking forward to in 2023 or beyond?
Yeah, so I think like right now, what I hope is that like I start racing in March. I mean, it would have been February next month, because the highest miles I did was like 53, or 53 miles, and I think like I was, yeah, and then after all the work with the with the new running performance coach, I think I would be able to extend more if it wasn't like for COVID. But because of COVID, uh, and it takes 4 or 5 weeks, to get back to normal. I would say that yeah, it has to be in March. I don't know. I do not know when. It could be mid March or it could be end of March.
Okay.
I think for now, like for my racing schedule, I think for throughout the spring track season, I think I might have to take it one at a time. Just see. But at the same time, but I think what I know for sure is my goal is to run, CIM marathon, get that second marathon in. And I think this will happen because apparently in the past, right? You know how we all got the CIM vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Apparently I did not use mine when I tried to sign up for like 2 times in a row. Like I think like 2021, I was like 4 weeks away from running CIM, and then like I got posterior tibialis, all because of which is like a compensation issue from my right hip, because like actually at my legs, they're like, I have duck feet at this moment, so they're all like, every time I stand, right, it's like pointing to the right, pointing to the outside.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I got posterior tibialis or
Wow.
right after a PR in a half marathon, and yeah, that was gutting. And then I couldn't run 2022 CIM. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So do you have any last words or, thoughts you want to kind of share with the listeners?
I think like I would like to say is, I think my best advice for every runner is just keep, just keep working hard, and just surround yourself with those who want you to succeed.
Okay. And to kind of go with, I kind of add a little bit to you trying to spotlight other Asian athletes. Are there any that you want to kind of shout out right now?
Okay, yeah, I like to shout out to to everyone who's believed in me and who has supported me throughout this throughout this process of making this page. Because especially when you make these advocacy pages, yeah, there's going to be people who may not understand, people who will not agree with you. So it's very important when you have people on your side, and I like to thank all those who've helped me, who have been on my side ever since I started this page.
Awesome. Garrick, thank you for coming to the show. I appreciate talking with you.
Yeah, same, and thank you for having me here. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah. And if people want to kind of get in contact with you or follow you online, how can they do so?
They could do it on especially do it on Instagram, GBC 1992, or yeah, if they're interested in following, my other page, they can do it too.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, Garrick, thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you too. Thank you so much for having me here.
All right. Have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in each week. If you enjoyed today's show, please support us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing this show wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast, so we can continue to have awesome conversations with everyday athletes just like you. Until next time, have an amazing week.